With the meta being shaken up heavily with the introduction of patch 4.04, agents are occupying new spots in the hierarchy of the meta. Buffs and nerfs to key abilities on certain agents have either allowed them to rise in the meta or spiral down the ladder of relevancy. One key part of an agent's meta relevancy is how strong their ultimates are. And today, we're going to rank all of the agent's ultimates in this new 4.04 meta. What's going on, guys? It's your host Sergeant Frost, and today we have a new agent ultimate tier list for you guys. There are several new agents on this list that were not on the previous one, so let's not waste any time and get right into it. And also remember that if you want to get a leg up on the competition in Act 2, you gotta come visit us at ProGuides.com, where our Radiant and Immortal level coaches can help you adapt to any meta. Whether it's fundamentals or agent-specific knowledge, our top-ranked coaches have a lot to give you, so make sure to click the link in the description if you're interested. Starting off this tier list, the best overall ultimate we have on this list is Viper's Snake Pit. After Viper's change to her gas, her ultimate is still quite a strong ability. Only the power levels of her smoke and wall were affected by the change, since they use up more gas when they're both on together. This does not apply to her ultimate, however. Viper's ultimate is so strong because it can do one thing safely and really well, and that is take free space with the press of a button. Do you need to lock down an area of a bomb site after a plant? Plop down her ultimate. Do you need to deny a small entryway of the map from attackers so that they can't get in? Put her ultimate down. There are many uses for Viper's ultimate, and every reason you can think of is a good one. This ultimate without question earns its spot in the S tier. There aren't many ultimates that can 100% guaranteed get the enemy team to stop what they're doing and run for safety. Killjoy's Lockdown has had that power since she was released, so I think it's safe to say that this ultimate deserves to be S tier. If you can see a trend with our ultimate tier list so far, a lot of the S tier ultimates have great ways of taking space for free, which is something Killjoy's ultimate does on an even bigger level than Viper's Pit. If you need a get on site for free card when attacking, this ultimate should do the trick. When you're on defense and you want a surefire way to make the attacker shuffle when you're trying to retake, this ultimate can also get that job done quite nicely. Sova's Hunter's Fury is another global ultimate that has found its way into the S tier. The reason this ability deserves S is because of how dang useful it can generally be as an ultimate. It can take up space, it can counter other ultimates by destroying them, it can track enemies through walls when they're being pinged, and it in general has the power to kill with ease. Sova's ultimate has a lot going for it, since it can be used to help in so many different situations. Outside of being a direct Killjoy ultimate counter, Hunter's Fury is great when paired with info gathering abilities such as Sova's drone or Cypher's camera. Tagging an enemy through a wall and tracking them with your ultimate is one of the most satisfying ways to get kills in the game. And closing out the S tier for this tier list, we have Jett's ultimate Bladestorm, making its first appearance into the S tier. Bladestorm is without a doubt one of the best weapon ultimates in the game currently. This ultimate allows Jett to become the menace that we all know she can be. Bladestorm gives her the freedom to fight on the ground, in the air, standing still, while moving. It's so versatile that it gives Jett so many options to kill you and look cool while doing it. If the Jett player is skilled, then this ability can be deadlier than the AWP, simply because she has full control over her knives while moving and flying. If the Jett player is not experienced, then well, at least you save money by not buying a gun on a save round and instead you decided to use her ultimate. Opening up the A tier is an ability that is appearing for the first time on our ultimate tier list, and that's KO's Null CMD. This ability is starting to become the cornerstone piece to KO's identity. Null CMD has proven useful in the modern meta because KO is now able to turn off an enemy team's entire defensive setup with a single button press. Null CMD is also more than just a glorified AoE suppress. It also heavily benefits KO because it increases his gun's rate of fire while active, and he gets a second chance at life because if he gets killed, he will go down and teammates will have the chance to revive him. KO's Null CMD is one of the few ultimates that gives a personal stats buff while also providing AoE utility to his team, and that makes it quite a powerful ultimate through and through. Yet another ultimate making its first appearance on this list for the first time is Chamber's Tour de Force. This ability falls into the weapon ultimate category because it gives Chamber an ultra powerful sniper rifle with enhanced benefits. The enhanced benefits are a much quicker rechamber time between shots, a one-hit kill to all parts of the body, and it provides an AoE slow on the body of the person that it's killed. These three benefits alone make this not only a great sniper, but also a great tool to use for controlling zones. When players hear this ultimate come out, they need to be wary because one wrong peek could mean that they get torn apart, and now Chamber's team has free space to capitalize in their deaths. Falling out of our S tier for the first time and into the A tier, we have Sage's Resurrect ultimate. It shouldn't need us to explain too much why this ability is so powerful in theory. Having the power to bring back teammates from the dead at will makes the round a 6v5, and that is hard for some teams to deal with in the long run. The only negative to this ability is that you physically need to go out and travel in order to res someone, and that means if a teammate died in a bad or risky spot, it will be much harder to get a chance to bring them back. This ultimate is powerful, but its risk in using it and its high cost of 8 ultimate points does not make it an S tier pick like it used to be. The new and improved Yoru is now getting a second lease on life with his rework. And with that rework brings us a new and improved version of his ultimate. Why is his ultimate jumping from C tier to A tier, you might ask? Well, let's go over what positives changed about it. First, this ultimate's duration was increased to 10 seconds. Second, you now have the freedom to use all of his abilities while in his ultimate, which opens up a world of possibilities for outplaying enemies and taking space across the map. And finally, Yoru's ultimate was reworked to where he is now completely invisible to all enemies, except his footsteps are now a bit louder when you run closer to people to balance it out. All of these new positive attributes make his dimensional drift not only more fun to use, but they give his ultimate a new purpose in game that allows him to do things that he couldn't pull off before. Rounding out the A tier, we have Sky's Seekers. This ability has two purposes, scouting out enemies and nearsighting them. The nearsighting portion of this ultimate isn't as useful as you might think because most players will shoot it out before it even touches them. This ability sounds great in theory because it locks onto enemies, and it alerts you to when they are nearby, and if it gets close enough, it blinds them for a considerable amount of time. Her ultimate is really strong at gathering info because the Seekers always goes for the 3 nearest targets to you at the moment of ultimate activation. That means if her ultimate goes past an area without turning blue, it means that area is clear of enemies. If all the Seekers go in different directions, that gives you a ton of free info not only on your flanks but for rotations as well. Kicking off the B tier, we have Breech's Rolling Thunder. In practice, when this ability works, it works well. This ultimate is super situational because it often needs to be lined up perfectly to cover as much ground as possible in order to maximize its effectiveness. Breech's ability does have flaws in the simple fact that it is dodgeable if the Breech leaves some room for error in his ultimate placement. But outside of the rare occurrence where a player hides in a safe space then proceeds to kill you after you run in, this ultimate is great for re-entry and team-wide disruption across the map. One of the more powerful weapon ultimates is Razer's Showstopper. Back in the day, this thing was powerful mainly because of how fast you could move with this thing while pulled out, and the fact that way back in the day, this thing was 6 ultimate points, which means she got it pretty frequently. I will admit that in practice, this ultimate should be higher because of its scare factor in game. Just like Killjoy's ultimate, when the enemy team hears this thing come out, most people will turn and run for the hills. But many players these days are confident and will attempt to kill Raze before she can fire off the ultimate, so it's not as effective against players who aren't scared of the ability. Even though he's not in too great of a spot right now, the one redeeming quality and bright spot about Phoenix's kit is his ultimate. Run It Back is great because it has 2 purposes that make it useful. The first is that this ability gives free low investment scouting, which is great for retakes and general attacking pushes to make sure the coast is clear. And secondly, this ultimate gives immense kill pressure for your team. When Phoenix's ultimate comes out, most enemies will either stand their ground and fight or turn and run for safety until its timer runs out. Run It Back is the best part about Phoenix's kit, and it's his only quality right now that makes him remotely worth picking. Like Breech's Rolling Thunder, when Brim's ult works, it works well. This ultimate is very telegraphed as it takes a few seconds to wind up and work, but when it comes down, it will delete anyone and anything really quickly. Just like Sova's ultimate, Brim's ultimate can counter Killjoy's ultimate, which gives it great upfront value when you're trying to counter the enemy team's plans. And when you have a lot of CC to pair with this ability, it's not hard to get multi-kills when you use this ability in small or enclosed spaces. Cypher's ultimate is a great ability in pro play, but it's not as consistent in ranked. The main thing that makes this ability inconsistent is the fact that you need a kill to activate it. And when you do get a kill, that doesn't guarantee that the body will be in a good space to ultimate safely, which presents great risk for this ability. But on the flip side, the free info that this ability can provide is great for predicting teams' movements and plans in game. Rounding out this tier list with the C tier, let's talk about Astra's Wall. Astra received a huge blow to her character with this patch, as her abilities were nerfed across the board. Her ultimate wasn't really touched in a negative way, but she is not in the best spot at the moment. Astra's ultimate is still useful, but it's not the main reason why you're going to be picking her in the future. One of the best features of Astra's Wall isn't just that it blocks bullets and lines of sight, it's the fact that the sound is dampened on the other side. This ultimate can be a double-edged sword because at times the wall also makes it hard for you to know what they're doing and its uses are limited. This can keep you in the dark of who's on the flank and which way the enemy's team's rotations are coming through, and sometimes this can be more of a hindrance than a benefit. Reyna's ultimate is in C tier because sometimes it can do more harm than good. Outside of pros and high-level players, the fire rate buff Reyna's ultimate gives her can make her gun uncontrollable and unpredictable, and that's not something you want when you're trying to clutch up in a round. This ability's timer is short and it's only refreshed by getting kills, so it's not as reliable as one might believe. Reyna's ultimate is great if you need to get superpowers to help you clutch up a situation in which you're at a man disadvantage, but sometimes it's better not to use this ultimate rather than just use it because you have it. After his buffs, the only glaringly bad part about Omen's kit is his ultimate. This ultimate is great for rotates and for getting behind enemy lines to scout and rat teams out. But right now, this ultimate is way too telegraphed and one-dimensional in its uses. Omen's ultimate needs buffs to make sure it's useful outside of its repositional capabilities. Right now, it's too telegraphed and way too underwhelming to be ranked higher than C tier. At the bottom of our list is unfortunately Neon. This is another weapon ultimate ability, and while it does provide value to Neon, unlike the other weapon ultimates, it doesn't provide much outside of her damage and kill potential. And it doesn't help out the team unless Neon gets kills with it. It does reset with kills, so it's nice for trying to clutch up situations, but it's not an overall good ultimate with upfront value. Well guys, that's all we have for our best agent ultimate tier list for patch 4.04. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to hit that bell notification to ensure that you stay up to date with our videos and ahead of the competition. If you want further help, make sure to check out our website ProGuides.com for the best on-demand coaching. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and I will see you all in the next one.